Hey Scrappy Peeps, Susanna here today to share a double page layout with you. This is a summer layout and it's one that I promised a long time ago. I created a sketch based on that layout and I'm going to apologize that I can't remember who I said I would do a double page layout for, and I also said that I was going to post this probably a good month, maybe even 2 ago, so I apologize for the delay. I am also going to apologize ahead of time for the length of this video. However, when you are creating a double page layout, there is no way you can get your video down to 10 minutes. So I am somewhat overwhelmed by the idea of actually talking for 20 minutes. So I hope I find things to fill this video with. So I created a sketch, which I will share over on my blog if you want to download that. And I will put the link to my blog in the description down below. I am actually scrap lifting myself, but I can't share with you the layout that I am scrap lifting because I created this original layout. Shoot, Nicholas is in 10th grade and I made an album for his kindergarten teacher. It was her first year teaching. And I did this same format. So that was 9 years ago, I want to say. And I never took pictures of the album that I made for her. But this is a scrap lift of myself. So these photos are of Nicholas, Michael, and we went down the James. Mia was supposed to come with us, but she went off to the beach with a friend of hers and had a grand old time. So we went ahead and just did what we had planned, and that was to float down the James River. So I have a bunch of pictures. I have a waterproof camera, and that is a cut file from Paige Evans. It was a free download over on her site on Facebook, so be sure to check that out. And then the papers that I'm using, or I started off using, this is Hello Summer from Simple Stories. And I decided that I wanted to use a bunch of pictures. And so you can see from the sketch, I cut them. There's 2 4x6s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3x3s, and 2 4x3s. And then I left that 3x6 space for journaling, and I actually haven't typed the journaling yet, but I needed to get this video up. But what I'm going to do is type it on white paper and put the white strips on top of that pineapple paper that will go into the 3x6 space there. And what I decided that because we were floating down the James, this wavy paper, I'm going to fussy cut it along the edge of the wave, and I'm going to actually put it down the bottom of the page, which is not called for in the sketch, but that is my amendment to this sketch to give the feel of the water and us floating down the water. And I really liked the way that it looked because it really truly looks like the way that I've nestled those squares on each page into the pattern paper. It really does look like we are in the water. And it kind of gives a softer edge to the bottom of those photos there. So if you're looking for a way to incorporate a bunch of pictures of one event into a double page spread, this is a great way to do that. And then because the pictures were so dark, I like that stripe across the top of the page there. It just adds a splash of color that ties everything together. So I'm going to duplicate what I did on the left on the right hand side here and fussy cut as well. Fortunately, I was able to make the waves meet in the middle. Now, when I work on double page spreads, I like to tape the pages together, and I don't cut things that spread across both pages typically. I obviously don't have a piece of paper that was white, cardstock that was wide enough, and the pattern paper comes 12 by 12, so those are split down the middle. But you'll see that the embellishments that I put on go all the way across, or they span both pages. And that way, when I'm done with the layout, it's easier to photograph it, and everything connects, and so I can then just trim it down. So I struggled with this. Originally, I was going to have 2 journal spots, or that white space that was there was actually not going to have a photo in it, but it looked very stark. And So I am going to end up adding a photo in there, and I don't like the pattern paper that's in that big giant title spot that spans both pages, so I am going to have to figure out something different there. I forgot when I was trimming that I also wanted to make the waves not rigid, but wavy at the top of that piece of pattern paper as well there. So I've committed to all of these elements, and I am going to adhere them down because things keep shifting on my desk, and I've worked, oops, accidentally glued that together. I've worked on this for quite some time, and I put a lot of thought into it, and I really, I like the way that it's going, and really all it needs at this point is the embellishments and the title spot as well. So I was wondering how many of you do 12 by 12 pages? If you want to leave a comment in the box down below, and how many of you like sketches for 12 by 12 pages, because I am happy to do more 12 by 12 videos as well as more 12 by 12 sketches. I shouldn't say double page 12 by 12 sketches. What I'm concerned about is the length of these videos, and if people don't watch them or are intimidated by the length of the 12 by 12 video, then it's not really going to serve you, which is why I like to make the videos, is to do things that appeal to you, the viewer. So if you have any feedback for me about whether you do like 12 by double page videos, and if 20 minutes is too long for a 12 by 12 video, I can absolutely shorten the video, but then you would miss a lot of the process. And so there are things I can cut out, but if you want to see the whole video, I'm happy to share the whole video too. So I kind of like to get a feel of what it is that you're looking for in videos, especially if they are double page spreads, because I do create a fair number of double page spreads. I just don't do videos of them because they seem to be rather time consuming. And I just don't want to share that if it's not something that people aren't interested in. So this is the file by Paige Evans. I've seen people do some great things with that digital cut file. A lot of people are using it large. It obviously was not going to work on this photo spread, and that photo that's on the bottom right, that 4x6 photo of the boys and the tubes, there's a lot of blue sky in it, which I love because it shows the weather, but it needed to be, it needed something there, and I knew that that embellishment cluster was going to go there and that that was going to be the sun. So I'm still figuring out this, yes, title space here, and I decide that I really like that peach in there, that pinky peach, but again, it's very bright by itself and kind of doesn't work with the rest of the colors in the layout. So if I were to use a piece of white to nestle the title into, it was going to work perfectly. See, thumbs up, like it. And then I thought maybe I would use that black and white dotted pattern to fill that square, but it's kind of distracting, which is what makes me think that I am actually going to end up adding a 10th picture in there. So yes, 10 pictures, my friends, you can get into this layout here. So I'm going to commit to that pineapple piece there. And some of my measurements have not turned out exact, and that's fine because you can tuck things in and then it works perfectly. But I do give you the measurements in this sketch. And I didn't label each of the photos, but you get the idea because they're repetitive. So this is where I really struggle with trying to fill that hole and decide to go with a photo. And I had actually printed enough photos that it was going to work perfectly. It is just a little bit bigger, and again, my dimensions are not exactly 3 by 3 all the way across and 4 by 6 and all of that, but it works. So you trim a little bit here and you trim a little bit there to make it work. I print my own photos at home, and I don't actually ever truly get a 4 by 6 photo, which is the problem. So that's why my dimensions end up being a little bit off, and that's okay. So there's that peach that I'm going to commit to as just a thin border for the white paper that I'm going to put into that space, which is going to nestle the title. I need a larger piece, obviously. There we go. So I'm going to trim that down to fit in there with just a 1/4 inch border all the way. And I'm going to get out some of my shimmers, and I'm going to create a variegated border that mimics the water. And it's more of that sort of green color because the James is not blue. The James is fairly nasty, but it was still a fun day. Yeah, you definitely need to make sure you have your tetanus shot up to date when you're in the James River. Fortunately, we were on floats. It was a beautiful day. We got scorched. I had a very interesting tan on my legs, but yeah, great memories. So I have 3 colors here, and I'm just using a water brush. So I started light, you can see, and then I've got the dark down the bottom, and I'm going to work that into as it fades and just kind of meld those together. And I'm going to let that dry. Now you can see from the warping of the page that I did not use gesso, but once it's all adhered down, you can't see that you can't see the warping, to be honest. And it's got a really nice shimmer to it because it is shimmers. So I'm going to set that aside and let that dry, and then I'm going to come back and work on the rest of that layout. So this is where I think that I'm going to use that yellow. It's just a scrap from, I believe that's a Dear Lizzie, but I'm not sure. It came from my scrap bin behind the yellow cardstock, but it's really hard to read. And so I actually ultimately am going to end up just using a circle of white pattern of white cardstock behind there in order to really pop that. And it says summer. So I'm going to use a sticker from the sticker sheet in the collection that says sunshine and smiles. So it kind of reads, it's sort of the subtitle to the page that says summer, sunshine, and smiles. So now I've got that all laid out, and it's just time to embellish the page. And I'm going to use a combination of things that I've fussy cut, that chill, and some stickers. And I am going to pull in some stuff from Fancy Pants to just complement the page there. I really wanted to use this cloud and put the cloud next to Summer Sunshine, but the blue of the cloud and the blue in the photo didn't match, so I left that. I really liked that Summer with that black writing, but really it doesn't need to say Summer. So it was a bit redundant, but that black really kind of popped that sun, don't you think? And I liked that palm tree there, except I took it out because there are no palm trees in Virginia, and it made no sense whatsoever. While it may have looked aesthetically pleasing, it didn't really serve a purpose and didn't help tell the story. So I ended up removing that. But I'm going to layer up a few of the embellishments here, and I played around, I pulled them off, I stuck them back on, I pulled them off, I stuck them back on, and that's okay to be indecisive about it. Sometimes you have to sort of see what your options are, and as you're sifting through, you find something better, and you just put away the other one, which is okay. I like the way that the placement of the embellishments actually kind of adds some light to these pictures. When you're looking at the video here, they do look very dark, but they're actually not quite as dark as they appear on the video, and you'll see that when you get to the close-ups there. So that cluster just became way too big and overpowering, so it was time to get rid of that. And when I don't know what it is that I want to do, I move on and I sort of shift to other things. So I had to step away for some reason, but you can see the embellishment clusters that I've got there. Now I'm going to work on the title, and I've pulled some letter stickers from Jelly Bean, and some thickers, some pink puffy foam thickers that I really wanted to incorporate a little bit more of that pink that's in the stripe up there into the layout, and that's how I'm going to incorporate the pink, is with these puffy stickers that you'll see in a bit. So I am not sure how the placement of this is going to go, and I also have to be mindful of that seam down the center of the title spot. And so I'm going to put the letters stickers on some wax paper so that I can play with the placement of that. And it is going to take me a little bit of a while, because you can see that I've got that sticker that says Good Times, and so the title is going to be Good Times on the James. But making it work, because you read top to bottom on Good Times, but the movement of that rectangle is across, it didn't work. So I put Good Times back, and I'm going to go with this chilling. Although we were far from chilling, it was hot. And then these are those puffy stickers from an Amy Tangerine collection. And I just love the way that the pink pops on that aqua. It's really not an aqua, it's kind of more of a mint green. It's a funny color. It's not a funny color, I just never know what to call that color. Mint green works for me. So there we go, that's how that title's going to go. And I want to add just a splash of pink somewhere else, so I'm going to go with these labels. And again, those come from, that's a Fancy Pants collection from ages ago. It was actually from a Cocoa Daisy kit that I had. It's funny how you remember some of these things. There's a cloud. I really wanted a cloud on there, and you know, the funny thing is there is not a cloud that ends up making it on there. So I'm going to outline this with a pen. It just gives it a little bit of a pop. And then it makes it easier. It makes that peachy border more noticeable. There we go. And then I'm going to stick down all the pieces that I committed to. And I'm going to move those sunglasses from one of the clusters underneath, because they work perfectly, and it kind of just adds a little bit more visual interest to the page there. So this is where I get the white circle. It just looks a whole lot better, and you'll see that in the close-ups. When you had the yellow behind it, it didn't really pop, and it sort of just all melded together. But I like the way that that sun is going to fill that space in the photo there. Fine tip applicator with Scotch glue. I had to get that little inner part of the R in there. Yep. So in the sketch, there are embellishments that are there, and they are hearts in the sketch, but I just use hearts as a generic embellishment for all of my sketches. You'll see that they're sort of uniform, the sketches. If you are looking for sketches of mine, I do create sketches for Spiegelmom Scraps on a monthly basis. I used to create them for Cocoa Daisy, and I do have a Pinterest board with my sketches posted. So if you're looking for some sketches, you can be sure to go over to Pinterest. And if you just put my name, Suzanna Lee, in, I should come up. And one of the boards there are sketches that I have made and created. I'm popping that up on foam just to give a little bit of depth to the page. And I like the way that that heart with the pink ties into the pink in the title, which then ties into the pink in the border there. So it creates a little bit of a visual triangle. It's much harder to create a visual triangle on a double page spread, but I feel like I did that. And your eye actually on this page kind of goes more around the page and around the title. And so you'll kind of finish at the journaling once that goes into that pineapple pattern paper that's there. So that, my friends, is my first video for a double page 12 by 12 layout. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them, both positive and negative, because this is a first for me, and I'm definitely looking for ways that I can get more double page layouts to y'all if that's something that you are interested in. If you subscribe to my channel, thanks for stopping in. If you don't subscribe, I'd love to have you join me. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Take care.